Alright guys, this is Matt from House of Geek, and it's been a while. Yeah, I've put a couple of updates up on my iPhone regarding what I've been up to, the problems I've been having with PC. I did record about 3 battle reports, 1 painting tutorial, and 1 just general sitting chat. And my computer just went completely nuts and basically blew up. So I lost all the footage, lost all the stuff I'd already edited, get ready to put out. So I lost everything. So I basically had to start from scratch. So the other month I bought a new PC. I had it built and had a couple of problems with it. The solid state hard drive that we bought was faulty, so that had to be replaced. So now PC's now up and running. I've got a new editing program for it, which is Sony Vegas 14, I think, Sony Vegas 14. I'm going to take a little bit of time learning how to work that, so I'm just going to keep using the normal editing software that I am at the minute, which is just the standard Windows Movie Maker, just for now, because I don't want to promise that I'm going to use the new editing software straight away. I haven't got a clue how to use it, so I'm just using YouTube to do some like YouTube tutorials and things like that, just to figure out how I can use it. But just to get videos out for now, I'm going to do just the normal stuff I've been using, so just use Windows Movie Maker. So today, what we're going to do today is we're just going to do a general sit and chat. I'm going to do some painting. So if you guys want to paint along, want to either comment on stuff that I've been doing, just comment on anything really. Ask me whatever. I'm usually an open book. I usually answer pretty much every question. So go and grab a paintbrush, and we'll start some painting. Alright, so painting today, I'm going to be painting some scenery. Obviously we've got 8th edition coming out. If you didn't know that, then you've obviously had your head buried in the sand somewhere. 8th edition is a whole new kettle of fish now for 40k. I'll probably do a lot of talking about that. Some things I like, some things I don't like. I'm not going to give it a review like now. I'll wait till I've got the book. I know a lot of people have got the book now. A lot of people have been into the local gaming shops and seen the book. Me personally, I haven't had a chance to actually go and look at it. All I've been able to do is to see what Games Workshop have released online, daily, with their little sneak peeks, leaked pictures of rules, leaked pictures of armies, and things like that. So I'm not seeing everything, but I can talk about. I'll talk about what I have seen, what I like, what I don't like, things that I'll change. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. What I'm going to be painting, on the other hand, is some scenery. So we've got some scenery here. I'll do a quick talk about, tell you how I came about making the rock scenery. So all this is just standard building foam, building insulation foam. It comes in pink or blue. I think the colours don't matter because you're going to paint it anyway. And I cut it using a hot wire cutter. So all I did was just literally sawed like a square block off and just cut it into shape. So obviously I just cut all the lines with a hot wire cutter, making it different angles. So obviously just looks a bit more random and weathered for a rock base. Larger rocks on the base, they're just foam as well. They're just cut out. And this one obviously on the floor, that's just foam. I've not even sprayed underneath it, because obviously as that sits on the table, you're not going to see it anyway. So models will just be going over it. So there's no point in painting that. There's just normal rocks on here as well. Normal rocks and stones. They're all just PVA'd on, and then I've just sanded it. And then when it came to spraying, obviously you can't just spray straight over the foam, because the spray will actually melt the foam. So you can seal it with either a couple of coats of PVA glue, which works really, really well. The only downside to using PVA glue is it takes a good 8 hours to dry at least. That's the only downside, is the drying time. I did this one with PVA. I painted it one day, only because I had a spare few minutes one day. Then I painted it again, did a second coat another day, and then sprayed it. So I just sprayed it standard black. I actually used the Halford's car spray matte black. That's what I use in the UK. Depending on wherever you're from, obviously depends on what spray you use. The Games Workshop spray is very, very good. I would always use Games Workshop spray for models because I can't fault it. It's really, really good. For scenery, I can't justify spending what's Games Workshop spray is what, 11 quid, £12 in the UK, £11, something like that, on scenery. So I just went to my local Halfords, bought a really big tin of spray. Well, it's a big old tin of spray anyway, and then I got it for like £7. I sprayed the whole lot, and then I sprayed it a grey afterwards, and that was Army Painter Uniform Grey. Have I got it round somewhere here? Somewhere. I was going to get it, but I don't need to get it because you could just Google it. It's just standard Army Painter Uniform Grey, just to make it grey basically, so I don't have to paint the whole damn thing grey. I'd be here forever and a day otherwise. And that is really it. It's mounted on plasticard, so I think it's only, is it 1mm? Or 0.5 mil plastic card, so really, really thin card. So obviously when it sits on the table, that's got sand on top, so as you can see a bit there. Yeah, a bit better out of focus. Let's try and get it in focus, shall we? Oh. Yeah, so as you can see, it's really, really thin here. So when it sits on the table, it'll almost be flush to the gaming mat, which is basically what I'm aiming for anyway. I usually use the wood, the really, really thin, what's it called? Plywood. The downside to using plywood is it's still quite thick, so it's almost like the model's having to step onto the scenery, which I didn't really want. I wanted it to blend in a little bit more, so I'll probably use this plastic card a bit more. Plus, it's obviously a nice sheen to it, so it sits on the gaming mats really, really well. And if I want to put stones around the side or around the edges just to blend it in a little bit more, it just blends in a lot easier anyway. So yeah, and that is basically all I did about constructing that, and obviously spraying it. Painting wise, I have actually painted 2 already. Wow, you may be thinking. So here's one I made earlier. So all I did with this is obviously from the spray, which was the uniform grey spray, I did a dry brush of Codex Grey. It was about a 3-in-1 mix of Codex Grey and Skull White. I can't remember the new names. I should have a look behind me actually. I think it's called Dawnstone. Is it Grey? I think is new Codex Grey, and Ceramite White is a new Skull White, I think. So yeah, it's about a 3-in-1 mix. Very quick, very, very brief dry brush, and then I did a 3-to-2 mix. So 3 lots of Codex Grey, 2 lots of Skull White. Over the top of that, another very quick dry brush, and then a final dry brush of 3-to-2, so 3 Skull White and only 2 Codex Grey. On top of that, just to give it another very, very brief highlight. That's very, very brief dry brush, so not a lot on your brush, and you're just literally slapping the model pretty much, just to get the extreme edges. And all I did for weathering is the cuts and basically blemishes in the rock is where, if you look on, not so much rocks in deserts, but rocks, I suppose rocks in general, I'm going for more of like a dusk world. It's like a subterranean world maybe. So it's obviously going to be dark, dingy, there's not going to be much sunlight, so there's going to be a lot of moss, a lot of mould, a lot of dirt and grime. Not so much heat, so because obviously if it was heat it would be almost like a sandy coloured rock. So I'm going for more of like a darker plain really. It doesn't get a massive amount of sunlight, so it's just going to be dark, dingy, gloomy. So what I did with this was I'm going to struggle with the name of this one as well. Agrax, is it Agrax Earthshade? Agrax Earthshade, something like that. It used to be Devil in Mud anyway. All I did was paint it in the cuts and the crevices here, all over the side, and I literally just drag the brush down, so it's just to give it a slight bit of streak effect here. Let me see if I can show it a bit better close up. Oops. Yeah, so it's a little bit of streak effect. Blood is just the technical paint. Is it Blood for the Blood God? It works really, really well. Gives it a good little effect, really. Just the odd splodge every so often, just to break it up a little bit. I did some Agrax Earthshade as well, just patches of it on the floor. You see a little bit better there? Light's not particularly very good in here today. It's a bit rainy here in Derbyshire. Yeah, so some patches around the side there. Also done another one here. Exactly the same technique as the other one. So yeah, all the mould and grime dripping from the rock formations. Done a nice little chaos symbol there. Well, I say nice, but it is a chaos symbol. Now I have been thinking about putting some grass, some dead grass on the base just to break it up a little bit. I'm a bit torn whether to do that or not, because like I say, I'm going for more of a subterranean scenery, like a death world scenery. So there's not going to be much biological matter on the planet. I always like to theme my scenery of how I want the planet. So obviously, you know, I've got a lot of city fight scenery. So there's not much greenery on that, but that's because it's been virus bombed. So obviously, people that know 40k know the fluff. Virus bomb literally dissolves, disintegrates, and completely destroys all biological matter on the planet. That's animals, plant life, human flesh, everything. It literally just destroys all biological matter on the planet. So things like rocks and things will degrade away over time. They will degrade a lot quicker. So that's why I've not done anything too green. I will eventually be doing scenery which is a bit greener. I do plan on doing different worlds. So there's a little sneak peek there. I am planning on setting a lot of my games around my own solar system in the 41st millennium. So there's going to be death worlds, there's going to be agri worlds, there's going to be feudal worlds, imperial worlds, frost worlds. There's going to be a lot of different variation in the solar system that I'm planning. So it's going to be interesting. I'm currently writing up the backstory stuff. So I'm actually quite looking forward to doing that. I've already done the picture of the solar system and the map. I've got to think up some of the names of some of the planets, because in the solar system there's a larger number of planets compared to obviously what we've got in our solar system, because it is a sci-fi. So there is a lot of planets in the solar system that I intend on using. So if you haven't got your brushes out, get them out now. I'm going to be getting mine out very, very shortly. Sorry for waffling on what I've been doing there. Like I say, I'm going to get my brushes out and start cracking on with the painting. Alright, it's got my paints ready now. Good old Skull White. A lot of people on the channel, if you've been gaming for a long time, you'll obviously see this and be like, holy crap, that is an old pot of paint. It is a very old pot of paint. I think I bought it when I first got into the hobby 24 years ago. 24 years ago. But you know what, it's still really good. I've not had to add anything to it, not had to add any water to it. It still works perfectly compared to some of the recent paints that dry up really, really quick. So yeah, I'm going to be using, my weapon of choice today will be a large dry brush, funnily enough. As you can see, it's had a lot of hammer, mostly for scenery. I very rarely dry brush, it's usually only dry brush for scenery. So yeah. So anyway, I'm going to, I suppose, just continue waffling on while I'm painting. It's very strange. I was actually just talking to myself, considering I usually listen to music or watch other people's YouTube videos. People that don't know, I watch Striking Scorpion's videos. I've been in a couple of his. I will be in some more soon. I think Luke's either editing them now to get them out before 8th edition. So hopefully they'll be out soon. I went down a couple of weeks ago now. Me and my friend Aidan that comes on the channel, we both went down and played Luke and his brother, brother James. It was really, really good. Really, really fun weekend. I suggest if anyone wants to go and play them, just contact them. They're both very, very nice bunch of lads. Really accommodating. Yeah, me and Aidan had a blast while we were down there. I'm not going to give anything away, but it was very, very good fun. There's plenty of hotels down there as well. It's Southend on Sea where we went. There's plenty of hotels. People that live in the UK know that there's a Premier in every in every town or city these days. So yeah, it's really good to go down and play with those guys. So yeah, so how have you guys been? I don't know what to talk about now. 8th edition, there we go. That's what I said that we'd talk about. 8th edition. Right, I'm not, like I say, I'm not going to give a full review. I'll wait till I get the rule book in front of me so I can read it properly and give a proper criticism on it. I can't really comment on the armies either, because obviously it's now all indexes and things like that. So all I can do is comment on my own views, thoughts and opinions of what I've heard, what I've seen leaked, and things like that. Some of the things I've heard I like. Some of the things I've heard I'm not particularly very keen on. Let's start on some of the things I'm not particularly very keen on. I mean, when you get good news and bad news, I'm usually a bad news first kind of guy, and then the good news obviously makes me feel a little bit better afterwards. So, the bad things that I've heard. Some of the bad things I've heard and seen, obviously, because Games Workshop have released the odd bit and bob of information on what is going to change and what they have changed and all this, that and the other. Being able to wound everything. Now, I can understand why they've done it. I can see some of the method behind the madness, why they'd want to do it. Personally, I'm not particularly keen on it. Why would a stone be able to hurt a tank? Because that is basically the equivalent of what it is. Some people will be arguing the fact that, well, the stone would hit a vital part of the tank's hull, or it would hit some special cabling, or hit an optic nerve, or whatever. Well, I'm not a big believer in that. This is the 41st millennium now that they're in. We have tanks in this current day and age that have no vital parts on the outside of a tank. So why would they have vital parts on the outside of a tank in the 41st millennium? It just wouldn't happen. So things like a las gun wounding a tank. Personally, I'm not a big fan. Obviously, the tank has now got wounds. Wounds and hull points. Fair enough. I can sort of understand where they're going with this, just to make it a little bit easier, a little bit more streamlined. That's fair enough. That's not a bad point for me if they just want to use wounds. It's not a good point, but it's not a rage quit point. It's not a bad thing. So, but the whole point where everything can wound everything on a 6, I'm really just not so keen. Maybe if they kept the old to wound chart, the cross-reference chart. So obviously you have your strength, their toughness, and you obviously measure it across and see which one it is you need to wound. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that. They obviously tried to do it to make it a little bit easier, a little bit more straightforward. But I was teaching when I worked at Games Workshop. I was teaching 10-year-old kids about the cross-reference chart, and they picked it up quick. So I don't see how it needs to be made easier and a bit more straightforward. In my eyes, it doesn't. Not that people that didn't get it are stupid. It's just the fact that it was very, very easy to pick up. I never really had a problem with it. I mean, people that said, "Oh, you don't have to look at the charts now. You just say, is your strength higher, the same as, or twice as hard as the toughness?" It's easy saying that, but if you're playing 40k, I mean, you don't have to be playing for you don't have to be playing 40k for years. You could remember the charts. I mean, everybody knows that if your strength's equal in the 7th edition, not in 8th edition. In the 7th edition, if your strength is equal toughness to the opponent, it's 4s. If your strength's 1 more higher than their toughness, it's 5. It's 3s. And if it's twice as high, if it's 2 points higher, it's 2s, and it's 2s all the way down. If your strength is slightly 1 point less than their toughness, it's going to be 5s, and if it's 2 points less, it's going to be 6s. But if it's double, you can't hurt it, which is fair enough. So if Games Workshop actually adopted the fact that, and they kept the old chart, lasguns wouldn't be able to hurt tanks, which I think is a bit more sensible, really. So whether certain people keep the old to wound chart but use the current rules for army piercing, the AP values and damage and things like that, I think that's quite a valuable option, really. It's something that I may do in my games. It might upset people, but I actually think it makes more sense, because being able to wound everything on a 6. Yeah, I suppose it's nice to go, oh well, I can't physically shoot at anything now because there's nothing on the board. I'm just going to shoot at that Land Raider and hopefully roll some 6s. Yeah, I suppose, that's all well and good, but it's for me, it's just not realistic enough. I mean, yes, I know we all play with plastic miniatures on board, on tables with polystyrene scenery and dice, and it's set 40,000 years into the future. But to have that slight little bit of realism and little bit of, for me, it's also tactics, because why would you shoot a tank? And obviously, the other argument is, well, you just wouldn't, because you need 6s to wound it. You just wouldn't shoot it. Well, if there's no viable target, you're going to shoot it and you're going to wound it. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I know a lot of people are really, happy and enthusiastic about it. That is 100% their choice, and a lot of people enjoy it. A lot of people like the idea. All I can just say is, it's only my view. It's only my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. By all means, it is your choice. It's your hobby. You play it how you like. Another rule I wasn't particularly keen on that I heard is that flyers are now hit on normal ballistic skill -1, I think. So if you're a Space Marine, you're 3s to hit. If you're shooting against a flyer, it's 4s to hit. For me, again, it's not. It just. I don't think it would work. I think what that's going to do is it's going to negate the fact that people will just stop buying flyers. Personally. I mean, me and myself, I've got 3 Razor Wings and a Void Raven Bomber. I probably just won't take them now, because if people need 4s or 5s to hit them, special characters are hitting on 2s, so they'll be hitting the flyers on 3s. There's just there's no point, because it's just not real. Something that's flying, the speed of sound, or twice the speed of sound, or in the 41st millennium, 3 times, 4 times the speed of sound, it's going to be really hard to hit. I mean, it would be like shooting a M16 assault rifle at a, I don't know, Harrier jump jet or something. It's going to be really hard to hit it, and if you do hit it, it's not really going to do a great deal. So, I wasn't massively keen or sold on that fact. Also, the main fact as well that you, from what I believe, like I said, I've not read the rules. If people have read the rules, please comment, tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm getting something wrong. I'm only going on what I've heard, because I haven't actually seen the rule book or had a chance to sit and read it or anything. But from what I've heard is you can't physically leave combat airspace now. So the minimum moves for flyers, from what I've seen of the Dark Eldar stuff, I think the minimum move is 20 inches. And you can still only pivot 90 degrees, and you can't leave combat airspace. If you leave combat airspace, you are classed as destroyed. If you believe I'm right, and then let me know. If I'm not right, please let me know, so I can obviously change my views and opinions on it. But yeah, I mean, being able to shoot flies on normal ballistic skill, I think, is a little bit silly in my eye. Not particularly as realistic as I believe it, you know, it should be. So I wasn't particularly keen on that rule. I think the way they could get around that is actually just say, if a model has the fly keyword, because they're very, very active on these keywords now, you can only snap fire at it. If you yourself has the fly rule, then you hit it on your normal ballistic skill. So I think that would be a better way of going about it. Obviously, I'm being very critical now of saying I don't like that, but I'm trying to give my own view and my own opinion on how to change it to make it better, and obviously to make it a bit, you know, a bit fair, a bit more of a level playing field, really. So yeah, I wasn't massively keen on that rule. Also, I don't know, this might upset a few people, because I'm sure some people like this rule. Me and myself, I wasn't too keen on it. I wasn't like, right, that's it, I hate that rule. I'm definitely thinking about changing it, but I'm just not keen on it. And that's the whole morale. Is it morale phase? Is it the battle shock phase in Age of Sigmar? Something like that. Yeah, I wasn't massively keen on that, because I think the old morale mechanic in 7th edition was actually it was, I wouldn't say it was time consuming, but I think it was a very good mechanic. I think it was a very cinematic mechanic. You know, physically being able to see your models run away, you see them flee in terror, you know, generally run off the battlefield, you know, but they've got that chance to rally, that bravery to rally and you know, keep fighting with only 2 or 3 men in the squad. I mean, you know, I've had no end of battles now, and there's been one guy left in the squad, and you know, the only way he'll rally is a double one, you know, which is insane bravery, and I roll that double one, and that guy's such a pain in the arse in the game. You know, he'll go and hide and sit on an objective and cower and not do a great deal in the battlefield, but he's still taking part in the battle. You know, it's still that memorable thing of going, my God, that one guy that rallied on a double one was awesome. So now the battle shock phase is, again, if I'm wrong, comment and let me know. But the battle shock phase now is, I believe it's done at the end of the turn, and you roll a d6 and add the number of models you've lost in that unit. So if you've lost 3 models from shooting, you roll a d6. If you score a 6, so that's 6 plus the amount of models you've lost, so 6 plus 3 is 9. And then you consult your leadership. If your leadership is only 4 of your models just poof, you know, just like disintegrate into nothingness. There's a Games Workshop say that they run away, they cower, they succumb to their wounds that they've conceded in battle, they flee, or you know, I wasn't too keen on that idea of it, because you're just taking models off the board. You know, it just doesn't. You could say, I don't know, 2 Marines succumbed to their wounds from bleeding from, you know, having lost an arm, lost a leg, but they were still able to keep fighting, but they finally succumbed to the wounds. Yeah, but it's not as cool as actually falling back, you know, and running away and then rallying, you know, which is really, really cool. But it's not the be all and end all. It's just a fact. It's the thing that I don't like is now everything stays on the table until it's dead, which I wasn't particularly keen on. Now, from what I've heard as well, there's a lot of armies that can actually negate this whole morale phase. From what I've learned today, I mean, I've only just watched the mini Wargaming battle report, which is Tyranids versus Chaos, I believe. So Tyranids can actually negate the whole battle shock phase if they are within range of a synapse creature. You know, that whole major phase of losing models, they just negate it. Which, fair enough, in the old rules they were fearless. But they're trying to make a whole point now of this battle shock phase being quite a big deal. Models running away, models dying, all this, that, and the other. But then on the other hand, they're saying that these models are exempt from it, and it's like, well, no, you know. Might just be me just being an old grumpy gamer, maybe. But no, I wasn't particularly keen. I wasn't particularly keen on that, really. Another rule that I wasn't particularly keen on was that vehicles can now attack in combat. The logic behind it, again, you know, Games Workshop are giving you logic behind all these rules and stuff, which is good. Which, you know, it is good. The logic behind it is the fact that obviously ramming was never really such a thing in 7th edition, so they're given vehicles a attack stat and a strength stat that signifies vehicles ploughing into a unit of men and then reversing and manoeuvring over them to try and run them over, to try and hit them, knock them out of the way, or whatever. You know, I suppose if you think about it cinematically behind it, yeah, I suppose it would, but you know, you're going to move out of the way in real life. You're going to move out of the way of a tank. You're going to dart out of the way of something. It's one of them rules that I wasn't particularly bothered about, but one of those rules that I wasn't, you know, keen on, wasn't psyched about. Which some of the stuff I have heard, you know, I am happy about. You know, I am glad they've done. Some of the things that I do really, really like. Would I keep constructive criticism, Matthew? Constructive criticism. If everything is now having a standard stat line, so toughness, strength, all this and that, I would probably, I would probably keep it. I think it might be one of them rules that I have to see in a battle myself, that I have to actually play a game and do it. I haven't played 8th edition yet. A lot of people have played it, which is cool. So comment and let me know what you think of it, what your views are. Like I say, I know I've said it before. I can only give you my account from an outsider looking in, because I haven't played it. I haven't seen the rules, proper rules. I've only seen what I've seen online. So yeah, vehicles attacking in combat. I wasn't particularly psyched about it, but I don't think it's going to be game changing, because from what I've seen, something like a Dark Eldar Raider charging into combat, I think it only gets 3 attacks with its shock prow, I think, which has its own weapon profile now. That's my alarm. That's my alarm to go and pick up my lad from school, but luckily someone else is doing it today. So he's not going to be stranded in the rain, because it is raining here at the minute. So yeah, I don't think it might be alright. I mean, like I said, I'll play it, and I probably won't mind it. It might be one of those rules that's there, but you might forget about it every now and again, and it's not like the be all and end all of things. Is there anything else I'm not particularly keen on before I start, you know, going into the good stuff? Now, I can't say I wasn't keen on it, because 8th edition the rules are out. The rules will be out, but the armies are now in indexes, so they are playable, but they're not actually going to be the proper armies. You know, they will be given a codex. So keeping that in mind, I'm not keen on the psychic phase. I think the only reason why I'm not keen on the psychic phase is the fact that you now roll a D3 and you choose 3 powers, rather than it be a D6 and have a wider selection. So I think that's the only reason why I won't say I'm not keen on it. I just wish they would flesh it out a bit more. I mean, not that the psychic phase. I used to use the psychic phase a great deal, because I didn't really. I never really got to use it playing Dark Eldar. Yeah, I just wish they would flesh the psychic phase out a little bit more. I think they will when they release the actual codexes. So yeah, probably the last and final thing I wasn't particularly keen on, but at least at least Games Workshop did something about it to do it. Was the fact that they are releasing, going back to these indexes. When they did the big jump from Warhammer Fantasy to Age of Sigmar, changed the rules completely, blew up the fluff. Very sore subject. I'm not going to get into that. They completely changed the rules. Fair enough. And then because they changed the rules so dramatically, they gave you the rules for the armies, for the individual armies, as downloadable battle scrolls. Which was really nice. So at least then the rules were free. So you got to get the rules for free, which was really nice, really good. Which I think they are doing for 40k. I think you can still physically go and buy the book, buy the rule book. The rule book's got all the fluff, all the missions, all the advanced rules, things like that. I think Games Workshop are giving you the option to download it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they are. But if you want to use your army, you've got to go and buy these indexes. At least Games Workshop are giving you these. No, they're not giving you them, but at least Games Workshop have done these indexes so that you will be able to use your army in 8th. They are only £15. It's not the end of the world. It's 15 quid. Depending on where you're from in the world, it might be. I don't know what it is in dollars. I don't know what it is in Canadian. I don't know what it is in Australian. I don't know how it works out, but it's £15 anyway in England. It's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice for them to go, you know what, we've completely changed the rule system, here you go, and then give them to us as a free downloadable PDF, like the battle scrolls, war scrolls, whatever they are for Age of Sigmar, like they were, just to save people on. But I mean, even if they charged us for the rulebook, so if they said the rulebook's not going to be free, you've got to buy it, but here's your free rules for all of your miniatures. Cool, that would have been quite cool. Again, I'm just nitpicking now. It's not, like I say, it's not the end of the world. I've ordered all of them, so they've got my money. Who's more of the fool, me or them, kind of thing. Ooh, just smack my hand there. So yeah, like I say, I'm just nitpicking now, really, just being a bit awkward. Like I say, grumpy old gamer. I feel older than I actually am these days. Starting to fall apart. So yeah, so that's it. That's my little gripe about 8th. At the minute, I'm sure I'll have more when I actually play some games. When I actually get the rule book and see it in front of me. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to talk about the things that I like. Right, the things that I like. I love the fact that Games Workshop as a company are starting to listen to the customers. I think that is a really clever idea. Now, a while ago, in a press conference or in something that they released, I can't quite remember what it was off the top of my head now. I think it was roughly around the time of Age of Sigmar, actually, when a lot of people were, rage incarnate like I was with the fluff when they blew up Warhammer Fantasy fluff. Whoo! Yeah, the fact that they're listening to the customer base, they're listening to the tournament organisers, they're listening to the Wargame community, they're listening to the YouTubers. The Games Workshop community team now is actually very, very, very good. They go to almost, in fact, not almost every event. I actually think they go to every event now. I think they are doing a really, really good job listening to the community, because at the end of the day, it is the community that is actually running Games Workshop, really. Because if the community weren't happy, you just, unhappy customers is unhappy sales, basically. If you've got people that are unhappy with the products, people that are unhappy with something, they'll just stop playing it or go and find something else that people are willing to listen to, and people that other people are happy playing and other people will listen to. So did I just repeat myself then? Probably. It's been a long night, long day, long night. Yeah, long night and day. The fact that they'll listen to us as a community, I think, is really, really good. Like I say, in something that Games Workshop released a long time ago, and Games Workshop stated that we are a model company, not a rules company, something like that. I'm sure they said something like that. Basically saying we're here to create good models. If you don't like the rules, up yours, kind of thing. And now they've come around and completely swapped it around, and they are 100% listening to the community. That if you get a chance to go to Warhammer World or go to the event, if you went and talked to them, this community team, they will sit and listen. If you see them at Warhammer World and you buy them a beer, they will sit and listen to you. They are a real nice bunch of guys. They're very passionate about the hobby. The fact that they are listening to the Wargamers, I think, is very, very, very good. The Wargaming community. They are listening to the Wargaming community. I think it's a very, very positive step in the right direction, really. The other things I like about 8th, from what I've heard, obviously talking about the Wargaming community and them listening isn't really about 8th, more of the company thing. Anyway, other thing I like about the 8th edition is the fact that everything now is on a level playing field. I think it's a really good idea. Fair enough. I think it's a really good idea that everything is now on a level playing field. As people know, I play Dark Eldar. Then they are still quite a strong army. I do quite well with them. A lot of people I know do quite well with Dark Eldar, even though they are quite an old army now. The last 7th edition codex to come out was Chaos, I believe, Traitor Legions. So, what else? What were the other old ones? It would be Tyranids, I believe. Tyranids, Orcs. And then I suppose it would be some of the Marine ones, wouldn't it? Really, Blood Angels, an old 7th edition codex. I think it would be Tyranids, were definitely the oldest. Tyranids should have been the next army to have been done, really. So you had the problems with 7th is you had that codex creep. People that don't know that terminology is obviously the newer codexes that came out were slightly better than the last one. So obviously, what was the first 7th edition codex to come out? Was it Dark Eldar, or was it Orcs, or was it Blood Angels? One of those. It was basically when this whole thing where you could take. What was it? It was basically your force organization chart slightly changed. So that obviously the Dark Eldar one was. The minimum for you to take was HQ, 2 troops, 1 fast attack, and that opened up. You were able to take 6 fast attack choices, and then you got like a little rule there a little bonus rule. You gave everything, gave all your troops +1 cover save in the first turn, something like that. Anyway, Blood Angels had one that was similar to the Dark Eldar one, but instead of having additional fast attack choices, you had additional elite choices. And then there was an Orc one as well, I believe. Again, comment, let me know if I'm wrong. The Orc one was something similar, but obviously gave you something different bonus. And then came along the Necrons, which then gave the terminology the Decurion. It was a simulation of formations. So if you took your core formation, and then took 1 auxiliary formation, and then you could take whatever else, your HQ formation, your command formation, or another auxiliary formation. You got your Decurion detachment. So you had 1 formation that gave you special rules, a load of other formations that gave you special rules, but because they were all in that formation, that gave the entire army more special rules. And then it was Eldar, then Tau, Marines. So that's a whole codex creep thing. So the older armies, the armies that had been done right at the start of 7th, were left behind, and especially Tyranids. I mean, poor Tyranids, they got left. They're that far behind. They're a dot. So yeah, everything has now been reset. So everything's on a level playing field, which I think it's good. From what I've heard and from what I've seen, everything is now usable. So if you never took something because it was rubbish, in the new edition, it might be quite good. It might be quite average. You know, like Dark Eldar Hellions, some of the best models in the game. I mean, I think the Hellion models are awesome. Rules wise, not so good. Yeah, their rules are, well, in 7th edition they are not great. Yeah, you can take them in as a unit of 20, but they're just going to die to bolt fire. You know. Ooh, dear, yeah, Hellions are a good example of a unit that was really, really bad in 7th. Hopefully, you might be, you know, there'll be a viable choice now. You know, if you want to take them, you can take them. They're not going to be great, but they're not going to be, not going to be poo. You know, so that's what I like. Everything's been reset. Everything's on a level playing field, and I think everything is on a level playing field for the simple fact that 8th edition's out, and they've released all of these War Scrolls, whatever, the indexes. Sorry, need a bit more white there. So, yeah, I really do like that fact. Something else I really like now in 8th. Something really, really simple. If you charge, you attack first in combat. Hallelujah. Finally, I think this is an old. Is this an old 4th edition thing, or is it 2nd edition thing? Something like that. I'm really, really glad they've gone back to this. Gone have the days of people cowering in cover, waiting in cover for the opponent. It was tactical to obviously sit and wait in cover, let your opponent come to you, so you strike simultaneously, or if you've got a higher initiative, or this, that and the other, yeah, fair enough. Well, tough. Initiative's now gone. Am I going to miss it? Not really. I don't think it's not a bad change. It's not a crap change. It's not a change that I need to moan about. It's not a change that I need to praise. I'm not going to miss it. I don't think it's going to be the be all and end all. But if you charge, you get to go first. I think it should be like that. It should always be like that. Thinking about it logically, if you are running your little legs off in a battle, carrying your chopper, you're going to be swinging that axe with maximum momentum at the point of you're about to slam into your opponent. You should be going first in combat. I think that's a real good move. Really are happy that they've gone back down. Gone back down that way. Other things I'm happy about. Something I'm not bothered about. I wouldn't say I was happy about it. I wouldn't say I was unhappy about it. Is the whole ballistic skill thing. A lot of people are moaning, saying, "Oh no, why did they take the whole ballistic skill chart out? All this, that, and the other." It didn't really make much difference. All they've done now is they've just told you what you need to hit. If you were a Marine, you were hitting on 3+. You're still hitting on 3+. They've just said your ballistic skill is now 3+. You hit on 3+. Guardsmen were ballistic skill 3. Their ballistic skill now is 4+. So you're hitting on 4s. You were hitting on 4s anyway. It's no big deal. Fair enough. That's fine by me. Weapon skill is slightly different on the other hand. Only slightly different. This is my final highlight, by the way, so this is slightly lighter grey. So yeah, weapon skill. 9 times out of 10 Marines were always hitting on 3s, so the Marines' weapon skill now is 3+, so that you basically hit everything in close combat on 3+. Obviously, unless you were fighting other Marines, a bit too much there. Obviously, unless you were fighting other Marines or you were fighting Chaos, I suppose, as well. They were the same weapon skill as you. It's not a be all and end all really. The whole weapon skill change thing. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about that really. Other thing I really liked is no more formations. Now, I finished my Eldar army, and there is 2 formations in that. There's the aspect formation, so no more aspect formation for me, and the Dire Avenger Shrine, so no more special rules for the Avenger Shrine. Am I bothered about there being no formations? Not at all. Because of codex creep and stuff, I'm actually quite glad that there is no more formations. To put everything back on a level playing field. Some of the formations were just ridiculous, and the fact that everybody used the same formations. If you were playing a Necron player, you can almost guarantee they had a Canoptic Harvest. 9 times out of 10, if you were playing a Necron player, you knew they were going to take 6 Wraiths, 3 Scarabs, 3 Scarab bases, and 1 Tomb Spider. You knew it. If you're playing an Eldar player, I'm part of that group. Yes, I was gonna. You're gonna take an Aspect Shrine because you are going to take 3 units of Aspect Warriors. If you don't do it, there's. it's just something you're going to do. So you're obviously going to take the bonus for it anyway. Going back to my Eldar army that is finished. Yes, like I said, I took 2 formations, but fear not. The way I actually built the army is that if they got rid of formations, it could still be a standard force organisation, so standard CAD. So it is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 troops, 1 elite, 3 fast attack, 1 Lord of War, 1 HQ. Yes. So it's still a standard CAD. So if I played an opponent and he says to me, "Look, Matt, do you mind not playing? Don't want to play any formations." That's that's fine. That's why I made that list the way I made it, just so I could play it without formations. Because I have got a couple of friends that don't particularly want to be recorded, but they don't want to play like cheese. So they just some of them just say, "Look, Matt, play no formations." That's fine, no formations. So yes, I am glad they've got rid of the no form. I'm glad they've got rid of the whole formation thing. What else was I quite happy about? I was quite happy about the whole thing about falling back in combat as well, voluntarily falling back. Again, like I said, it's not a morale. I'm not keen on the whole morale thing, but being able to voluntarily fall back. If you're in combat with something, in real life, if you're actually in a real fight and you know for certain you're going to get your ass kicked, you're gonna run away. You're gonna run away and get help. You're gonna run away and hide, maybe. Whichever way you're going to do it. You are voluntarily going to fall back. You're not just going to sit there and take a ass beating. So it would be like if a standard orc unit that's got the knob hasn't got any special weapons. If an orc unit are in combat with a dreadnought, there's nothing that they could have done. They will just die, sit there and die. The dreadnought will just chomp them to death. So yeah, at least now that models can voluntarily fall back. When these models voluntarily fall back from combat, they can't shoot or charge or advance, I believe, which is advance is running, I think, because you falling back from combat is effectively your movement. So obviously you fall back in your turn. If you fall back in your opponent's turn, they're only going to charge you again. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. But obviously the counterpart to that, I suppose, is you don't have to fall back because you can wound everything on a 6 kind of thing. But I don't like that rule. I think if it was a fact that where there was a cap, but you could still voluntarily fall back, I think that would balance itself out. I think it would. I think it would actually balance itself out and actually work. Actually work quite well, really. So yeah, I think that's about it, really. They're the bits and bobs I've really heard about 8th edition. So am I gonna get into 8th edition, do 8th edition videos? Of course I've got to get into 8th edition, do 8th edition videos. Now, I can't say that I will be doing 8th edition rules 100%. There might be one or two bits that I will change just to make it a little bit more cinematic. It will only be minor things. If I do decide to change them. It might be the whole wound thing, might not be. You know, I might play a couple of games of 8th edition and actually, you know, quite like the way the whole wound thing works. You know, I might not. I might change the whole flyer thing. You know, flyers, you can only snapshot flyers, you know, on a 6+ unless you physically have the flyer special rule. Things like that. Flyers might be able to leave the board, leave combat airspace, and then come back on the following turn. You know, I don't think that's going to be massively game breaking if I allow that rule. From what I've heard, that there are advanced rules in the back that allow, is it Death from the Skies, something like that. Oops. Yeah, I'll do. So that might be a rule that I might change, might not do yet. Oh, excuse me. So it's just a case of playing a few games. When it comes to new games, new systems, I have got a specific rule. People might have heard of it, but it might. I mean, I was told about this a long time ago now, when I was quite young. Whether it's an old school thing, an old fashioned thing or not, I don't know. It's called the Rule of 3. If you don't like something, or if something's brand new to you, try it 3 times. If you don't like it on the 4th time, or at the end of the 3rd, it's, you know, it might just not be for you. I think it was my dad that told me that, actually. That was when he was trying to get me to eat food that I wasn't particularly keen on, like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and you know, stuff like that. And it seemed to have stuck, really. I teach my kids it as well. Funny enough, I do like Brussels sprouts and broccoli now. But yeah, the rule of 3. If I play a game 3 times and I'm still not keen on it after the 3rd time, it might not be something that I'm too interested in investing money or time on. Back when I started 40k and fantasy, I think I literally fell in love with that straight away. The guys in the shop in my local store at that time would have been in Derby. You know, they were really good guys. As they were playing, giving me an intro game, they were telling me the background and the fluff of all the armies. You know, when I was playing fantasy, it was Empire versus Orcs, and then they were telling me about the massive struggle and the wars they have and things like that. And you know, it really got me enthusiastic about it. So I automatically, you know, fell in love with it like that. I have played a couple of other games. Gave other games a rule of 3. X-Wing, Star Wars X-Wing. I've played 3 games of that. I even tried to give it a 4th game, but I couldn't get into it. Whether it was because it was where I game, it can be a very competitive scene. X-Wing can be at the gaming club that I play in. Whether it was that, I don't know. I tried Star Wars Armada, wasn't keen on that. I've played what's it called? What's it called? Room Wars. There we go. Room Wars from Fantasy Flight Games. I've only played that twice, and I'm still a bit unsure about that. I need to give it another game. I need to arrange another game with one of my friends. See how we go with that. Yeah, Room Wars. I still need to give that a few more goes. Maybe at least another one anyway. See how we go. Right, that's him done. Beep beep beep. Yeah, that's him done. So now it's going to be the Agrax Earthshade to do some of the weathering and the pools of mush and pools of mud and the general weathering on it. Other games I've played that I did enjoy: Star Wars Imperial Assault. Me and a group of friends have been playing that for a while now, the campaign. If people want me to, I will do an actual review on it. If people want me to, I will do some. I'll put some videos on on my YouTube about it. I have got the Imperial Assault box, so I've got the standard box game. It's real good fun. I really enjoy it. You can play the campaign where one person takes control of the bad guy or the Empire, and up to 4 people can take control of a rebel hero. Obviously, you guys level up, you gain experience, you gain gear, and you progress through a story like that. It is good fun. I did like that game. So yeah, so the rule of 3, I do apply that to most things in life, and it seems to have worked pretty well. I think many moons ago, my dad told me, obviously give women the same treatment. My dad was very, very old school, as I'm sure a lot of people's parents were. Luckily, my wife, if she watches this, I didn't. She took the rule of 1. That one luckily just took one. That took one date, and well, there we are, 14 years down the line, I suppose. But yeah, I do intend on playing the new 40k 8th edition a lot. I really do want to. I really want it to work. There's something, like I said, there's some things in it I'm not massively keen on, but I hope with this new Games Workshop community that they've got going, I hope that they start listening to some of the people that aren't tournament players. That I know they've got this whole was it 3 ways of play now? Is it narrative, competitive, and something else, something like that? I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's they are going to change the system and upgrade the system every year. They've already announced that. They've already said that, which is really, really good. So that they're almost giving this edition of 40k, if you want to call it 8.0, they're going to give it a year to test out, and then they're going to actually get feedback from the community, not just feedback from game organisers, from tournament organisers. They're going to get feedback from I don't know, Joe Bloggs down the street, John Smith up the road, from normal people that play the game, that are passionate about the game. So hopefully that they do change some bits in a year, but only time will tell. If you guys have played 8, please comment and tell me your thoughts on it. Tell me what you think. Tell me, the bits that you're looking forward to. Tell me the bits that you're not so much looking forward to. It's such a big leap. Obviously, the timelines move forward. That's something else I should have mentioned that I'm really looking forward to reading. The timelines move forward. That hasn't happened in 40k for years. For a long time. I can't remember the last time it actively moved forward and something actually happened. I mean, yeah, you heard, Abaddon had all these Black Crusades, and it's like, oh my God, Abaddon's attacking Cadia and again, and oh no, he's been beaten back and nothing's happened. But now, he's attacked Cadia, he's blown Cadia in half. He's assaulted Terror. He's done all this, that, and the other. They're actually moving the storyline forward. Gulliman is back. I'm sure people have seen the spoilers and the tidbits online. But Mortarian's coming back. So you've got Magnus the Red, who came back first, and then you've got Rubok Gilliman, who's back from the dead. Well, stasis, I suppose you want to call it. Now you've got Mortarian coming back. So if they're doing one and then the other, so they're doing a bad Primarch, good Primarch, they're doing Mortarian now, that's a bad Primarch. Who's the next Loyalist Primarch to come back? What? Who do you think? Who do you think it's going to be? What are your views and thoughts on that? I mean, personally, I think it might be Lionel Johnson. So the Lion, Dark Angel Primarch. Why do I think it's going to be him? Well, people that are into the fluff might already know, because they might have seen this little spoiler or whatever you want to call it. People that aren't so much into it, they might not know. But if you are into it and you don't want to hear it, just pause the next, or skip forward, should I say, the next, say, minute. See if I can get it all done in a minute. Let's time it, look. Right, see if we can get it all done in the next minute. Right, starting from now. Right, so yeah, so what I've heard is that possibly Cypher has actually killed the Emperor. Because Cypher was on Terra. Robert Gulliman got him on Terra, got him to see the Emperor. So I reckon, and so do a lot of other people, that the Emperor has been killed by Cypher. Now the Emperor is pretty much confirmed dead, because the Custodes are going on a crusade. A massive host of Custodian Guard and Sisters of Silence are going on a crusade, going on a battle, or waging war their own way, rather than being stuck at the palace, because they don't need to be at the palace now because the Emperor is dead. So I reckon that Cypher has killed the Emperor to release his spirit, because I think that the Emperor, according to the fluff in the background, is a perpetual. So that means he can't physically die. So when he's dead, he might be reincarnated as somebody else, as something else maybe. But we don't know, because it's the Emperor and nobody's actually ever killed the Emperor before. So I reckon that the Lion's going to come back and basically take care of Cypher, or just sort out the general Dark Angel hoo-ha anyway, because they don't know whether they're good or bad or neutral or whatever they are. Anyway, I think that's roughly been a minute-ish. So yeah. So that's who I think is going to be the next Primarch to come back anyway. So who do you think is going to come back? Who do you think is going to be the next Primarch to come back? I do believe it's going to be another Loyalist one. I don't think they'll do two evil, bad Primarchs in one go. Evil. So yeah, it just depends on who you think is going to come back. Who you think is going to come back next, really. So yeah, so that's really my thoughts on the whole 8th edition thing. I'm a little bit worried, a little bit excited, and I feel a bit reserved about some bits. I don't know how to feel, really. I'm not like some people. I mean, some people here, you talk about 8th edition and it looks like a little bit of pee just came out, kind of thing. That's definitely not me. I think it might be okay. I'm hoping it's going to be good. But yeah, so we'll have to see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video now, and we'll come back when I've got this finished, because I've basically kind of run out of things to talk about. Maybe I should write a list of what I need to talk about, things I need to cover. But yeah, I don't know how long the video's been running now. I've kind of lost count. So if you enjoy these sit and talk painting videos where I just chew the cud and talk about stuff and waffle on, I suppose, comment and let me know, and I'll do some more. But I do a lot of painting, do a lot of scenery making at home. If you guys want to be part of that, if you guys want to watch what I'm doing, comment and let me know, and I'll put plenty more up. I'll do some more. So I'll cut now, and I'll come back to when I finish this sucker. Right, as promised, thought we'll come back now it's all finished. Really quick and easy to do. Like I say, I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode, I suppose. Hopefully, I like to do more. If you guys want to see more, please comment and let me know, and I will obviously do some more. It's not just scenery I'll be doing other things. This is just generally like a sit and talk where I could talk about the hobby, talk about things I like, things I don't like, answer some questions. If you guys want to ask me any questions, ask away. And I can use this opportunity to paint, get stuff done. Like I said, I try to get at least a few hours painting, about 4 or 5 hours painting at least twice a week, and then maybe try to get at least an hour a day, little and often, basically, so I don't get bogged down. So yeah, so I hope you guys liked the first of, I suppose, sit and talk, or paint and talk, or chew the cud and slap some paint on, or whatever. Not, if you guys have any ideas what you want to call it, by all means. So yeah, so this is obviously now finished. See if we can focus here on the camera. There we go. Just realised, looking at the lens in the bit in the camera, you can't read that because it's backwards. So yeah, I might have to think about writing that maybe the other way if I want to record it, but basically it's they come. So yeah, so in blood, in the top, where the PVA dried, it dried because it was a hot weather. I think it dried some bits quicker than others, so it had like obviously bubbles that were in the PVA, and then when they burst, it left the like a rippled effect and like a pop effect in the PVA. So all over that was use some Nurgle's rot. Is it Nurgle rot? Yep, Nurgle's rot, to signify obviously as a bit of possibly infestation, plague on the planet. So I've had them on top, pop, and trickle down the side there. I've also had one pop on the top here, and on the top, whoop, there, triple, that's not even a word. It is a word, but not the right word. Drip all the way down, and obviously splash onto that bit and drip down there. And then obviously on the front of it here, probably can't see it very well because the light's not great in here. There we go. You see it a bit better there? I've done a big blood splatter there, so it looks like someone's been shot and murdered on that side there. So yeah, really simple, quick and effective. Like I say, I might put some dead grass on these, just in patches, just to obviously break up the monotonous grey effect. So this is the third I've done now. So if I zoom out, so it's not so much blurry, or zoom in, should I say? There we go. Obviously they're not going to be this close on the battlefield. So yeah, can't really see that one there. So there we go. So yeah, so that's basically 3 done. So it's 3 down, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go. I've also got my craters. They're all sanded and sprayed as well. It doesn't look like they're sprayed because they come that colour, and I've sprayed them that colour. So it's almost, what the hell is the point in spraying them? Which I've only just kind of realised. But yeah, they'll look a lot better. They're just going to get weathered out as well. Be a big black soot mark in the centre. I've also been doing some other bits and bobs scenery wise, but that is for another day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been really nice coming back and actually doing stuff for the channel again. Hopefully the computer edits this nicely, otherwise I'll just go mad. So yeah, so leave your comments, like and subscribe. It really does help us out on the channel, and I will speak to you guys next time. Toodaloo.